Hello and welcome to another pattern recognition video. And for those new to pattern recognition, if you're wondering what it is, what it's all about, basically you pick a set of puzzles like the 10 that we'll do here today. You solve those more than once, as if you just solve them once, you may just forget the tactics and patterns. So you solve them the first time nice and slow, then you solve them again faster, and you try to do a set of puzzles, whether that's 5, 10, 100 or more, and solving them more than once helps cement the patterns and tactics into your long-term memory. At least that's the idea, and you try to remember those patterns and use them in your own games in the future. All right, so how do we begin here? Well, let's see what the opponent did on their last move. They had a rook up here. They moved down to c2, attacking our queen. So we probably have to deal with that in some way. If we move our queen, what else can be done? They could capture here with a check, but then our knight is covering that. So what should we do in this position? So pause at any time if you want to think before I give away answers. So the first thing you do, as I said, is look to see what your opponent just moved. What is their plans? What are they trying to accomplish with that move? And how do we respond? And also you can count up material to see if you have to basically help you make a decision if you want to trade material down and simplify into an end game. If you're losing, then you need to go for a win somehow or be able to gain back enough material to be in a winning position. So we have 3 pawns versus 5 by our opponent. We have 2 rooks and a knight. So we each have a queen. But they have the bishop pair, which is pretty strong. They're pinning our knight to the queen. So, if we thought about just capturing here, well, we could maybe capture with the queen. That might be the way to go. We just go up in material. So is it as simple as that? But you definitely want to look at checks, captures, and threats. Checks first. So what if we push forward here, delivering a check? All right, so if we do that, the king could move. They could try and block, but if he tries to block with his rook, then we can take his queen after we capture with check. So, a lot more going on in this position than, what it looked like at first glance. Okay, so what do you think? What do you think we should do here? The check might be good. We move the rook up here. If the king moves, we could check here, getting out of the line of fire. Because, if our knight wanted to capture here, well, then our queen would be taken by the bishop. So we could, move after we check. And the king, if it goes here, we could move here with check. And if he blocks that, well, then, I guess we could take here. Or is it just simpler to just capture immediately here? If we take, they take. Then what? So take, knight takes, and then I don't know. I guess they could just attack here. Attack our unprotected knight. So if we take, if the knight takes, they could attack here. The knight's unprotected. If we move, they would get our rook, but we would just be ahead so much material. So, I don't know. I'm thinking we could just grab this, but, often you want to go for, trying to get the mate. So if we go there, I mean, they could block. I don't know. I'm going to try this. Okay, yeah, that's what they wanted. It's more attacking and forcing because of the check. Okay, now we can go here. And they don't like that. So what are we missing here? Now do we just... Oh, we take this with check and force an exchange. Okay, well, hopefully you did better than I did in that. I have the rating set 1800 to 2000 for advanced level puzzles. But, let me know. Sometimes some of the viewers wanted more complicated problems. So let me know if you need more difficult puzzles. I tried to mix in some, like this 1800 to 2000 that are a little bit lower, level. That way people, who are struggling with the ones that are too higher, the puzzles that are too difficult can at least get some of these easier ones. So on to puzzle number 2. We just had, a capture here, attacking our queen. So what do we do? All right. Well, it looks like we have an attack possible here. We could attack the king. The king will be forced to run. We can go here, start chasing that king around. He would have to go here. Then we could take this pawn with a check. And the king kind of runs away. So, if we look at material, it looks like we're down by quite a bit of material here, so we need to go for the mate. All right, so maybe it's better to just capture here, delivering the check, and oh wow, is that just a checkmate immediately? I think so. All right, and so that's why you want to look to see what your opponent just did. Okay, they captured here. They're attacking our queen. Then we want to look at the material real quick. We saw that we're very behind in material, so we need to act, with some urgency, try to get some checks, go for the win. So it looks like we can just take here, and they can't do anything. I mean, really, is it that easy? Okay, I guess it's a checkmate. Okay, hopefully you found that one and quicker than I did. On to puzzle number 3. King has just stepped where? To the center here. What did that accomplish? Oh, he was being checked by the knight. So he steps over to the D7 square. Okay, material. We have rook and 2 knights. They have 2 rooks and a bishop. So they're ahead, a rook for a knight here. We have 3 pawns and they have double that number. So we're just, pretty far behind here. So we need to do something in a hurry. The king is pretty trapped. It could only go here. So maybe there's a way that we can deliver a check. Now remember, whenever you're attacking a king and they have very limited moves or even are in a stalemated position where they have no moves available, you need to start looking at some checks. Now, generally you want to look at all the checks, even the ones that don't look that great, because they may surprisingly end up being the winning move. So we could go here with the knight here. Here we would be captured by one of the pawns probably. If we moved here, then what? The king could start running over to the corner, maybe into safety. So maybe it's not good to move this knight because it's covering that square along with this pawn, covering that to prevent the king from running. And his bishop is trapped for the moment. Well, no, I guess the bishop could go there. So maybe we need to find another piece that can deliver the check. So what about moving our rook and then trying something like this? You know, we threaten a check here. If the king runs here, we can go there, and that would be a mate. So, is there anything better than that? You know, and also we have to be aware if we are trying to accomplish our plans, what can the opponent do to slow us down or counterattack? So if we go here, you know, does it do anything for them to check us and we have to take time out? We can still go there on the next move. Also, you know, if we go here, what if they move their bishop? We check. We already saw if the king goes here, it's a mate. Now what if he goes here? Well then, okay, if we go here, the bishop moves out of the way. We deliver a check. If the king runs here, we could check with the rook. The king would have to go here. Huh. All right, let's take a closer look at this. Rook moves here, attempting to go after the king. If this bishop moves to give the king some breathing room and we check, the king, you know, would have to run here. If we checked, then what? The king would have to run here. Then do we bring the other knight in here? You know, or when the king moves, we could potentially go here, grabbing that and forking. But either way, I think this works. All right, now we're just ahead that rook. So I guess they don't want to go into this position here where we're chasing. Well, now it's too late. Well, no, I guess they could go there. But at this point, we're ahead. This extra knight for these pawns. And he won't be able, you know, he'll have trouble defending all these. We should win easily. All right, on to puzzle number 4. What do we have here? Okay. King has stepped forward. What does that accomplish? What is the opponent trying to do with that? Oh, he was in check. All right, that's why. So he steps forward to here. And is there just an immediate mate? It looks like it. Looks like there's just an immediate mate here. So hopefully you found it. Looks like we can just go there with the rook. And the rook and queen are working together. All right, well, there's an easy one for you. On to puzzle number 5, and we'll be halfway done after this one. Okay, the queen steps forward, creating a battery, but this pawn is doing a good job of, you know, protecting this one, blocking the attack, you know, the potential attack here. Queen might also be attacking this. Oh, because there's a winning move here. So hopefully you found this pattern. Take a look at it. Pause if you need to. If not, here we go. We're going to check with an attack to the king, luring or decoying the king onto this square, which will allow us to bring the queen up to check. King will have to go back to where it started, and then we can deliver a mate. So check, check, and mate. So there it took 2 pieces and a pawn, which on average it takes about 3 pieces, give or take, to checkmate. It really depends on the defenses of the opponent as well. So pawn and queen working together here to mate. Okay, on to puzzle number 6. The knight has jumped forward, grabbing a pawn. Oh, wow. This almost looks like something similar to the Jabava London, an opening. Well, sometimes I should take that back. There is a tactic in the Jabava London that is similar to what is occurring here. So I just want to make sure this works. If we look at what our opponent just did, they captured a pawn moving here. Now if we look at the material, we have 6 pawns, our opponent has 7. So we're down a pawn and the rest of the material is equal. Okay. Now, all right. Pause if you need to think longer. If you're ready, here we go. I think we can just take this knight, because if they capture back, well then we can go here, forking king and queen, grabbing the queen back. Now we want to double check, look at any checks in the position, for us and the opponent. Of course, we don't want to go here. We'll just be captured after we deliver check. So I don't think we have anything better. But once we take, they don't have to take, but that is probably what they'll do. What if they check here instead? Well, it looks like we could just block that and be all right, I think. All right, so let's do it. We take there, then we fork king and queen. So now we can just grab that back and we're ahead the knight there. Okay, on to puzzle number 7. The queen has what? Dropped back here. And what does that accomplish? All right. What does that accomplish? The queen drops back. Well, I don't see it accomplishing too much. Now, if we look at material, our opponent has 2 extra pawns, it looks like. Oh, wow. And did they miss an opportunity? Oh, no. Okay. They can't do anything because this rook is pinned. I was thinking when they were here, what if they took that, we took, and then they try to do a back rank mate. But like I said, they can't move this because it is pinned by the queen to the king. Okay, now checks first. Well, we could go here, deliver a check. The king would have to capture because this is pinned. We could go there, our queen would just be captured. That doesn't look too good. There's this possibility of taking this. We could grab a pawn, because this other pawn is pinned to the king, so that can't defend that. But what if we go here? The king would have to capture. Then if we go here, check. If the king moved back here, we could check. Oh, and then his position kind of falls apart because we could go after this. So I think that's the way to go. But let's double check because we have to definitely watch out, as there could be some back rank mate threats. So capture. Now remember, when you capture something and you're sacrificing, the opponent doesn't have to capture, but here it wouldn't work. I mean, if they go there, we just capture this with a mate. So they would have to take with the king. Then we check with the other rook. if they move here to protect the pawn, we could go there with check. Then when they move, same thing, we go there. All right, so either way, we take, oh wait, wrong one. We move there, check, check. Now it's a mate here. So, all right, hopefully you found that one. On to puzzle number 8. What do we have? A knight that was under attack by the pawn. It steps forward, but it looks like we could just take. But if we do that, they could take here and line up on our king. And that doesn't look too good. And what else are they threatening? Now they're threatening to capture here and attack our queen. Oh, but if they do that, we could capture here. But then you have capture, capture, rook takes. So a lot going on. What do we do here? Okay. First, we looked at this move. What does that accomplish? Well, it threatens to take that maybe, or this, which is more valuable. Do we just take that knight with our queen? Maybe that's the way to go. There is this threat going here, attacking. And if we move this knight, the bishop can take that one. So, what if we go here, taking that, we're attacking the queen, which is unprotected, so they'd probably go here. Our king would have to take. The rook could be activated. Our king would have to move. That might be the way to go. So if we look at material, we have 7 pawns versus 7 by our opponent. We have 2 minor pieces, so does our opponent, 2 rooks and a queen. So I think we go ahead in material if we just capture here, because we're attacking their queen and they have to do something about that. Now we have to look at checks. If they go here, we could just take. If they go here, our king could step forward. All right, I think that's the way to go. So we're going to take. Okay, now we have to step over, but which way is best? Probably just to go there. And now we're just ahead a whole rook. And even if they take, then we can take back. There is that threat, though. Attacking. I mean, I guess we could try and counterattack. All right, I don't know. There's still some play in the position, but that was the answer that the computer wanted. So on to puzzle number 9, and feel free to leave comments at any time if you have something that you think I overlooked, which I'm not perfect, so maybe I did overlook something. So as always, feel free to leave any comments, requests if you want to see something specific. If there are any puzzles that you want to see in the future. All right, on to puzzle number 9. Pawn has just stepped forward. Maybe a threat of going here, trying to go after this, although we could just protect, but trying to get this pawn pushed forward. All right, what can we do? Okay, hopefully you found this one. So pause if you need to think longer. If not, we could just go here. And what that does, if the king steps back, we can grab the rook. So he'll probably go here attacking our attacking our rook. Unless we go here. So, as always, you want to look at checks first. So we have two different checks. If we go here, the king has to take, because if he moves to the side, then we just grab his rook with our rook. So if he takes, we take, we're attacking this pawn. What can he do? We start just grabbing his pawns. But is there a way to get this, get our pawn forward? I think so. So if we go there, king will probably take, we take. Then what? If he tries to go over here, we just take this. If he moves further, so do we. He goes here, we grab this, we have the opposition. So I think that's the way to go. No, they don't want that. So that. Okay, yeah, this is even better because he'll end up being out of play over here. Yeah, now it's even easier. We just go, well, I don't know. We go there. What does he do? Maybe go there. We just grab. He goes here. We go there. He starts making his way across. And then what? We can just step up. And if he tries to grab the opposition, or whatever he does, we can just move here, start marching our pawn up till it promotes. Okay, the final problem, puzzle number 10. We just had a capture with check here. So what is our opponent trying to accomplish? Well, if we take, he can follow up with a check and then grab our bishop. So, do we have something better? Let's look at the material. We have 5 pawns. Our opponent has 6. We each have 3 minor pieces, 2 rooks and a queen. So now we're down a pawn. We could gain this pawn back, especially if we captured. Queen captures. Then we could go after this with either one, queen or bishop. Okay, do we have anything better though? We're in check, we have to deal with that immediately. So our only options are to capture the attacker. We can't block, so we could run. Is there a reason not to take this? Well, if we take, like I said, he can go here. We have to move. He can capture here. Then we have to defend. And we don't want to go this way, I don't think, because there's maybe this possibility. So I don't know, we probably need to take. Now, we could just take the knight with our queen. Guarding our bishop. If their bishop takes our queen, then we take. Does that work though? So, I think so. Just go there. Now we can take. And we'll just be ahead an extra knight here. All right, well, I hope you were able to solve these puzzles. And, these were a little bit easier than some of the ones I've had lately. But let me know if you want some, more difficult ones, if you need some easier ones, if there are specific tactics you would like to see in the future, feel free to leave a comment. Like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day.